Hi, and welcome to RNESU Spotlight. I'm Laurie Bertrand, your host. I'm the board chair of Otter Valley Unified Union and also of the Rutland Northeast Supervisory Union. Today, we're going to be talking about returning to school, finally, in person! Yay! Albeit with masks, but I'm okay with that. I hope you are too. Anyway, today I'm joined by Jeanné Collins, Superintendent of Schools, and we're going to talk about all things going back to school. Hey, Jean.
Hi, Laurie. It's so nice to actually be here in the studio with you.
Right, in person.
In person.
Not over Zoom or over any of those weird things. So
I know.
So tell me, where do we start about going back to school?
Well, school starts. It opens for kindergarten through 12th grade on September 1st. Pre-K starts a week later, and that's a school-by-school date based on a variety of factors. But kindergarten through 12th grade, September 1st, and we have had teachers in the building since Friday, getting ready, getting classrooms ready, meeting about student lists, getting some professional development about our district goals, which we are titling Relationship Recovery and Redesign this year. And we are so excited to have kids back.
Oh, well, that's really great. That's really great.
Yeah.
Well, I think what we were going to plan on starting with today is about some of the improvements that we made that we couldn't show off last year because of COVID.
Right, and some of the improvements that, that's right, and that kind of having such a late start last year allowed us to spill over into the fall for us. So I would like to start off, I would like to talk about, the changes at Otter Valley Union High School. So Otter Valley looks very different in the front this year. It's a beautiful, beautiful entrance. The board had a surplus of funds over the last year or two. Actually, the board tends to be very frugal with their money, and so the voters have allowed us to put that those surplus of funds into a building reserve fund. And so the school board dipped into it last year to redevelop the entrance to Otter Valley because the former entrance was truly falling apart, raining inside. It was just
Through
horrendous.
light fixtures, yeah.
Yeah, it was horrendous. So this is what it looks like, and we are visited on video by Jim Avery, Principal Avery, who's going to tell us in 3 short clips about some of the changes in the school.
Awesome.
Here we go.
Really appreciate the change that occurred over time for this building. Back in the 90s, it was a pretty unattractive way in which you entered the building, and now we have this beautiful building, this beautiful entrance, which is a much safer way for students to be entering the building, and that we can now control access to the main building. You're allowed, we open the building so that you can come through this door, and then anyone who comes in this space can't go through those doors anymore. They're locked. You have to go through the front entrance, which gives us a much better opportunity to control entrance to the building and access to the building. We hope to have a lovely waiting area for people in this section here. We have informational videos that will be there, as well as other materials that we'll leave there. We also developed an office space over here that will be used by our staff, and now we can go look at the theater. So what also has been done over the years, and it's remarkable the support that the OVUU board has given to Otter Valley. We've also upgraded all of our bathrooms in here so that they're handicap accessible. And so there's been an incredible improvement in this lobby area right here. And that leads us to the beautiful Otter Valley Theater, home of the famous walking stick. This year we replaced all of the old seats that we had in here, and we upgraded this space so that it also has handicap accessible seating within this. So we've really upgraded this to be the kind of theater that it should be for the students here at Otter Valley and for the walking stick theater.
So I hope that you got a flavor of the changes that have taken place at Otter Valley. I mean, it really is very impressive, and I thank the voters, I thank the Otter Valley Board I think it's an entrance that, and a presence on Route 7 that we can all feel very proud of.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll be having open houses this year, so everyone will
Yes.
get to see it
They're
then.
pushing them back a little bit. They won't be before school starts, but they'll be probably in October.
Well, that's okay. And then there'll be the Walking Stick Theater musical, hopefully in November.
Right.
So people will get
Right.
to have a chance to come in and
Yeah.
see all those great improvements.
Yeah.
So that's really awesome.
Yeah, thanks. We also, especially while we had a year of pandemic learning, we took advantage of time when students weren't in the schools to paint a lot of classrooms, to redo our floors, to do a lot of kind of that wish list, that honey-do list that always sits there year after year. We were able to get a lot of that stuff done as well this year. So I think you'll find, I think when students come back, they'll find things spruced up a bit.
Nice, nice. Well, that's great. So last year, lots of remote learning. We doing that again this year?
No, that's not the plan. So we are
Right?
returning in person 5 days a week. In order to make that happen, we are starting with a universal mask mandate. So all adults and students are required to wear a mask, particularly when students are around. Adults will be required to also wear a mask when students are not around in common areas. Masking is only for indoors, so we will again look for frequent outdoor breaks to take off the mask, to run around and have fun. But unfortunately, the Delta variant is peaking in Vermont right now, and we want to be able to maintain as consistent a schedule with staff healthy and students healthy so that we can really gain momentum at 5 days a week. We are giving all students a Chromebook again, and there's a form for parents to fill out to get the Chromebooks, and those families who need hotspots should simply let us know. We're not assuming, people need to let us know about hotspots. And we will be asking teachers to be using Google Classroom. It's called Seesaw in the younger K-1-2 grades. If we do have an outbreak, a class could end up going remote for 5 to 7 days, 5 to 10 days, whatever the Department of Health tells us. But that would be a short-term, one group of students and teacher, and then they come back. Not a school-wide, hopefully, not a school-wide shutdown. Our biggest risk of that is at Otter Valley because the kids change classes. They aren't consistent all day long. So we ask for everyone's help in please do not send your child to school if they are showing any symptoms at all or if they have been exposed. And please do wear a mask. We are limiting visitors in the school, but with advance notice and with a purpose to be there, we are letting visitors in. But drop by or wandering into classrooms, we're keeping that to a minimum. When I say this year, I mean at least this part of this year. You know, if conditions start to improve, we will start to relax again these protocols.
Great. Now, also, my understanding is that as far as masking is concerned, on the bus, that's federally mandated, so that's not going to change throughout the entire year unless that mandate changes.
Unless the federal government changes it, right. But
Okay.
that is a federal mandate for masking on the bus.
Okay. And as far as masking in the schools, you are going to relax that if we can show 80%.
Right. Well, I'm going to be looking at two things. We're going to do our best to assess the vaccination rate of our students. Parents do not have to give us that information. It is personal, so we have to do our best with the information that we have and that parents are willing to give us. And if a school population of students reaches 80% vaccination, then we can back off on some of the protocols. That is more likely to happen at the middle school, high school level earlier than at the elementary level because currently kids under 12 still cannot be vaccinated. We've been told that will probably open up this fall, maybe as early as October. And so possibly after the holidays, we'll have a sense of reaching that. Keep in mind that if we relax it for an 80% rule, as we call it, that still means 20% roughly of students and or staff will not be vaccinated, and that still could lead to some short-term closures throughout the year. Still going to be a little choppy all year long.
Sure. And just because you're relaxing the mask rule doesn't mean that kids can't still continue to mask
Absolutely.
if they feel more comfortable that way.
Absolutely. Masking is always an option. Yes.
So, there may be a small group of our kids that just don't feel comfortable coming back to school because of COVID
Yeah.
and everything that's going on. And
Yeah.
so do we have any plans for them?
We do, and I think we're one of the few districts so far that do, actually.
Well, we are the forefront.
We are.
We're the trailblazers.
So first and foremost, there will not be Zooming into a classroom this year. That was incredible, what we did last year. It also took an incredible amount of time on the part of the teachers, and that was why we had no school on Wednesdays, because teachers were really planning for both in-person and Zoom at the same time. And that's really, it's almost like planning twice. So we're not doing that this year. I really thank parents and students and teachers for all that they did. So this year, we are offering an entirely remote virtual learning academy. If a student or family opts to go into the virtual learning academy, on our website, they can watch recordings about it from information sessions we had last week and this week. They can also get the application, which is called a compact, that explains all the things that they are agreeing to do if they are part of it. And then they can submit that by Friday, September 3rd to be accepted. We will be looking at things such as, was the student present virtually in the past? Is there evidence that they would be successful in virtual learning? And if there is, and the parents and the student really want that, then starting after Labor Day, they would start an entirely remote virtual learning academy, not taught by the same classroom the child would be in. The child would still be our student, but they would be learning entirely remotely. They would have contact with the classroom teacher periodically, and then one of our staff, Frank Bonavita, will be monitoring each one of those kids that are doing the virtual learning, connecting with them every single week, making sure they're being successful. A parent needs to commit to this for a semester at a time. It's not something you can go in and out of. If a student is sick or a student has to be quarantined and they're an in-person student, then just like before COVID, they're sick or they're absent.
Okay, but they'll still, and those kids that are just sick or absent can still access their stuff through the Google Classroom.
Right. It won't be absolutely everything that happens in the classroom, but we're asking teachers to post assignments on Google Classroom.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. So what about sports?
What about sports? Sports have started.
Yay!
We only know about the fall season at the moment, and our outdoor sports are running and maskless at the moment.
Okay.
That's the state of Vermont has given us that guidance. We cannot have indoor sports, or at least there are an awful lot of restrictions, I should say, for any indoor sports. So we don't know yet, but assume that our winter season will go on as normal. As we know with COVID, things can change, but we'll hear more about winter sports in October.
Cool. Well, that's great that all of our sports are,
Yeah.
so soccer, football,
Soccer, football,
all
the
that
outdoor.
good stuff.
Yep.
Running, lots of running. So good. Well, so what else should we be waiting for before the beginning of school? Is there anything that parents should know?
Well, we have yes, we have some staff changes, and I'd like to talk about some of them. So first of all, at Neshabie School, we have a new principal and assistant principal. The new principal, replacing Judy Pulsifer, who retired in June, is Vicki Wells. Vicki is a former and current Brandon resident, former Neshabie parent, who came to us from Addison Central most recently, actually, and she is living back in Brandon and very excited to be the principal at Neshabie. This year, we also hired an assistant principal at Neshabie, and that's primarily because we know that as students are returning, and Neshabie is an over 400 student school, that there are going to be a lot of social emotional needs as well. And with a new principal and with our staffing ratio at Neshabie, we felt as though this was a good investment for the next few years. Then across the district, we have received a substantial amount of federal dollars, or will receive, but we're in line to receive a substantial amount of federal dollars. And those federal dollars need to focus on loss of instruction and students and student recovery. So we had some planning teams over the spring. We put out surveys to parents and also collected input on our plan and settled on summer programs, which this year we had to turn around really quickly. Next year we hope to even increase them. But we had a number of summer programs that focused on fun, as well as social emotional skills and getting kids back together, and even some academic work as well. We offered high school students some credit recovery courses, and several of our students completed them.
Great.
And then starting this fall, we are adding academic interventionists to every school. We already had academic interventionists in all of our schools, but we recognize that we're going to need to triage around some more kids who might have fallen behind during the remote learning. And so we're using our funds. An academic interventionist will work with students who are identified as falling behind in math or literacy to help them catch up on top of what they're doing in the classroom. So it's like pull-out services or tutorial services for particular kids. So we've invested in quite a few academic interventionists. We also have invested in the coaching model. A coach actually works with the teachers to build the teachers' capacity as they're working with such a variety of levels in their classroom. We have always had a math and a literacy coach, which a year or two ago we combined into an academic coach. And that's Laura King, who's been with the district for several years, and she'll go into classrooms and help teachers plan or look at data or whatever it is they need. This year we're also adding an equity and engagement coach who also can help our educational support teams look at kids that maybe aren't as engaged and help us see what we can do and making sure that we're meeting the needs of all of our students. That's the equity side. And an MTSS coach. MTSS is a multi-tiered system of support. So while the academic interventionists are working with the students, the MTSS coach is working with teachers and again our educational support teams to make sure that we have tiers of support for all of our students to make sure that they're keeping up with or caught up with their classes. I smile at this one because it's like 2 years too late, but we're hiring 2 tech integration specialists. Normally when you do a one-to-one computer pilot project, you have years with tech integration specialists and professional development for teachers and how to use the technology, and you roll it out over several years. Well, we rolled ours out over 48 hours. And the teachers teachers taught teachers how to use the technology, and teachers did a phenomenal job. But we'd like to not go backwards on that technology. So now that we have the federal money, we are investing into technology specialists, integration specialists, to help teachers integrate technology into the classroom. Be patient. Not everyone's going to be ready to do that the first day.
Sure.
But we don't want to go backwards with all that we have gained in the world of technology over the last 18 months. These federally funded positions are targeted positions for the next 3 years. The federal dollars will last 3 years. And we really want to target and we will measure the effectiveness of these positions in order to know what we need 3 years down the road. We do not anticipate staying at the same level of staffing in 3 years.
Sure.
We're coming out of a pandemic right now, so we need additional staffing. The entire state, pretty much the entire nation, is thinking along the same line, and as a result, we still have some open academic interventionist positions. We have hired all of our teaching positions as of this week, but we are still seeking teachers, certified teachers, to be academic interventionists primarily at the high school. So if anyone's watching and has a teaching certificate sitting there gathering dust, give us a call. It happens.
Oh yeah, you never know. So I'm trying to think, what else was it about school that
That you asked me the first time we did this?
Yeah, I know. The first time we did this, so we did this once before, and then now we're redoing it. I can't even remember.
Because of that technology
Yeah, it
integration?
must be because of the technology integration that didn't work out.
I can talk about a couple of other changes that we're doing. We, again, we don't want to go backwards in some of the things that we learned during teaching during a pandemic. And so the school boards have been holding meetings virtually for the last 15 months. And as a result, both boards actually saw an increase in participation from the community at the meetings. So the boards are returning to in-person meetings. However, we are going to do our best to also offer them virtually so that somebody who doesn't want to drive into a school for a meeting can still log online. We have a brand new website, which is really exciting. And on that website, if you scroll down, or if you find the calendar or the events section, you can find the board meetings and the links to the board meetings, and you can also find all the board packets. So for example, tonight, Rutland Northeast will meet in person in the district offices, and there is a Zoom link for somebody who might want to Zoom in and not attend in person. So that's kind of exciting that we're able to try to continue to do that. I mentioned the website, and the website also comes with a mobile app. And we're still in the process of training the schools on what information to put in there, but the idea of the mobile app is you download it, and you can actually identify you can personalize it. So if you, Laurie, happen to have a child at Neshabie and Otter Valley, let's just say, then you can say that you want notifications from Neshabie and Otter Valley, and of course RNESU, because you love to hear from me. And on the app, then you would just pull up the information that's relevant to your schools that you're interested in. And when everybody's trained, we'll be able to have things on there like the menu, so that you can pull up the menu for the day and tell David what he's going to have for lunch. We're struggling with all the different Facebook sites right now that Otter Valley has, but eventually we'll merge them so that you can pull up and see both when athletics are as well as when walking stick theater productions are, and concerts and art shows and all of those things, open houses. So we're working on, we're building it now, but the mobile app is available. I did put it in my last parent update, and I will be sending out another parent update on Friday, August 27th, and it'll be in there. I may continue parent updates as well for a while, for as long as needed, just because I think it's a good way for people to find common district-wide information as well.
Well, I also think it's a really great way for you to touch everyone, so that they feel like they're included and not,
It's also been for me a great way to build relationships with folks, because I get emails back and sometimes I miss out on the fun of being an educator because I'm not based in a school. I'm going back into schools this year, though. I'm excited about that. And, I don't get to meet the parents usually unless something's wrong. So this is good. I mean, I like the parent updates because there's some give and take. We also will continue the thought exchanges. I did send out a thought exchange in early August, capturing the fears and hopes of parents and of staff on the return to school, and I'll be publishing that report shortly. My favorite answer in the parent one is, I just want to make sure teachers are there with open arms to love my child. So I want to say that is what we will do. Our teachers will be there with open arms on September 1st, ready to love your child.
Awesome. That is so cool.
I know. I don't know who wrote it, but I love it.
Yeah, no, that is good. That is good. I think the other thing I can talk about a little bit about with return to school is what the board is doing. Since
the Otter Valley Board?
The Otter Valley Board. Otter Valley Board is going to be talking a lot about facilities this year. As you know, Sudbury is out there all by itself with nobody in it. We need to make a decision about that. And we have some options.
Yes, we do.
But we also want to look at all of our other facilities, which we had done pre-COVID, and now we're going to do it all again.
Right.
That may morph into talking again about a 5 through 8 middle school model at Otter Valley. So if people have, comments or questions about that, I'm sure we'll send out thought exchanges about that. And,
right.
As we get further and further into that discussion.
Great.
So Otter Valley's looking good. Rutland Northeast.
Barstow, I can talk a little bit
sure.
about Barstow. The Barstow Board will be present at Chittenden Day this Saturday, August 28th. And they would like to talk with their communities about exploring moving their high school choice to designating 3 public schools. And they really want to engage in a dialogue with their community. It's about equity of opportunity, ensuring that their students all have the opportunity to go to schools that don't discriminate, looking at the law. They can still designate 3 public schools, so there would still be school choice, but it would remove the private school options if they went this way. And there is a flyer that's on their website and their Facebook page that explains why they are introducing this topic, but I hope that people get engaged and think about the long-term ramifications, particularly around equity for students in this.
So I'm curious about that. Just my only question, and I'm sure you can't answer it now, is that would it kind of be like our preschool policies, that if you wanted out in a different district, would you be able to ask about that?
Yes, you would. There is an option to be able to ask, and what Barstow has is a high school choice currently that's called high school choice, but there's another law in the books called high school choice that all students in Vermont have. So for example, and that high school choice lets every student in Vermont apply to a lottery to go to another public school.
Right,
So
nice.
for example, if Barstow, 90% of the students at Barstow go to Rutland High School. And if somebody wanted a public school that is not on the designated list, they could, for example, apply to Otter Valley. They could choose Otter Valley, for example, as a designated school, if that's a designated one, and then apply to the Otter Valley Lottery to go to Woodstock or South Burlington or whichever one it is. So it actually still opens up the whole statewide system of public schools, even while designating 3. And one of the concerns of the board is that public schools will take every child, whereas private schools do not.
That's right. That's right. That has been a topic of controversy recently. So at this time, since we're starting to run out of time, I wanted to just put out there that we always have Let's Talk for people.
Yes.
If anybody has any questions, go to the website, find the Let's Talk. We also have an app for that.
Yes.
There's lots of ways to find it, but they, also emailing us however they want with questions, concerns. We're always here and we always try to answer quickly.
Right. And welcome back.
And welcome back. Yeah. We are welcoming everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're looking forward to opening up our arms and grabbing all your kids. Loving every kid. Next Wednesday, September 1st, first day of school. So,
and please be aware, if you're driving on the roads, that the buses have, new routes and kids are going to be out waiting for buses, and please be cautious.
That's right. That's right. So thank you so much, and we will see you next time on RNESU Spotlight.